Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this special edition of Inside the Headset. Going to roll down to Alabama, and we've got a new member to the family, and we're going to talk to the head coach of the Helena Huskies. His name is Richie Busby. Welcome to the show, head coach Richie Busby. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, it is a joy to talk with you, and thank you for your time last night for a little pre-introduction as we got to talk about our favorite thing, and that is high school football.
That's right. And I enjoyed talking to you and learning a lot about Tennessee high school football and, some of those names of schools that you have mentioned I've, heard of and that kind of stuff. And it's always neat to get to hear how they do it in a different state because everybody, does it a little different.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the connection here is you went to school and you know a guy I know. He knows that I'm into high school football. He wanted me to get with you. We've been talking about this for about the last couple of years, and I said, John, I gotta get your buddy on the show. It's time, and you agreed to it. So John Hester's our good friend. So how do you know John?
Well, Lord, I grew up with John probably since we were, 5 years old playing shirt and cap baseball in Bessemer, Alabama, and lived in the same neighborhood. We had a great neighborhood growing up with, tons of boys that were our age. And, John had a tennis court at his house that had basketballs on both ends, basketball goals on both ends. So we have been dear friends for, oh, Lord, almost over 40 years, and he still is. And says great things about you and has been talking for years like you need to get on the show with Stork and anybody he thinks highly of, I think highly of.
Well, I got to ask you. I mean, if you two tee off, I mean, who's going to beat who? I mean, he says you could have played college golf, could have done anything you wanted to do. He says you can knock that white ball anywhere you want to. But if you two tee off, who's going to win?
Oh, without a doubt, John. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I may beat him one time in 7 or 8 years because just out of luck. But John was was somebody that I don't know that introduced me to golf, but kind of kept our team together in high school. We won a state championship in high school, and a lot of that, or most of that, was because of John and his mom, Faye, and he's just been a dear friend. And but he's going to win.
So let's take it from right there. Grew up in Bessemer, Alabama, and as everybody knows,
Yeah,
that's where Bo grew up and everything. Did and
that's right.
is that the same high school? Did you all go to the same high school actually that Bo went to, or he went to Leeds, didn't he?
No, Bo went to McAdory. So when you hear of McCalla and Bessemer, it kind of overlaps. But Bo kind of lived what we would consider in Bessemer, Alabama, but he went to McAdory High School, and John and I lived in Bessemer, and we actually went to Bessemer Academy, a private school. So you have McAdory, you have Bessemer City, which back then was Lanier High School, and then you have Bessemer Academy. So we went to a private school together, and just had a lot of fun.
So what size school is the school that was you all 2A, 3A, or are y'all listed
Well,
as
we were
private? You all
well,
listed.
in the yeah, it's the Alabama Independent School Association back in those days, and the AISA, and it was a 3A school. One of the bigger schools, which doesn't which doesn't mean anything. 300 or 400 kids, K through 12, and so even though it was a 3A, the largest classification, it still wasn't very big.
So John says you played baseball.
I did. In high school, I played football, basketball, baseball, and golf, and John did the same thing. And at a private school like that, it's kind of what you do. If you're a boy, you need to play all the sports. Not very many play four, but it was a very unique situation. Myself and John and my cousin Chris and our good friend Kelly, we were the four. John played catcher, and I was a shortstop, and Chris played second, and Kelly did, played all. So we played baseball, and when we weren't playing baseball, we were playing golf. So weird deal that a lot of schools don't have, but we were the infield on the baseball team, and we were also the golf team that won a state championship. So it was just a unique situation.
So then, how'd you get into high school football?
Well, I thought my dad was a professional baseball player. He played 6 or 7 years in the Astros organization. He was a fourth round draft pick out of Bessemer, back in 1970. So I thought I was going to be a baseball player, and I was a pretty good baseball player, and went to college and played baseball. And then when I came out, the first job I was offered was, to coach, be an assistant high school football coach and coach girls basketball. Well, I just kind of faded away from baseball, and by that time of the year, you're so wore out. It's like, I don't have enough energy to do it. And then with coaching high school football, it's action nonstop, and baseball is a methodical, slow sport when you're coaching, and when you're playing, it's a lot different. So, and then I figured out, hey, if you're going to make any money in coaching, it's probably going to be on the football side, to be honest with you.
Right.
So that's kind of how I got over that side.
So where'd you take your first coaching job at?
Well, I actually coached at Bessemer Academy when I left Montevallo playing baseball. When I went to high school, they needed a PE teacher, and I went there in 1997, and then a guy named Mark Freeman was hired like 6 months after me, which is now the head coach at Thompson High School, who's won multiple state championships. I think he's won over 10. So I worked with him for 2.5 years, and then my first public school job was at Fultondale High School, probably 20 miles. Not even 20 miles, 6 to 10 miles north of Birmingham, 65, like going to Nashville. And I was there for 18 years, spent many years as an assistant, and then I was the head coach there for, 5 years.
Did you live up there in Fulton? Did you live in North?
I did not.
Man,
I did not.
You commuted. You've lived
yeah.
down. You went through Birmingham every day for 18 years.
Every day, and loved every minute of it. The unique thing about Fultondale is a 3A Alabama High School Athletic Association school, but it reminded me of where I went to high school. It was a public school. It was small. Everybody knew one another. It was a great community, and I actually started out there being an assistant head girls basketball coach, and we had some really good teams and a lot of good parents and support. And then I just, as the years went on, ended up being lucky enough to be named the head football coach there after putting in a lot of years as an assistant, and which I think is a big deal to become a head coach. You need to be an assistant to understand when you are the head coach what they're dealing with and what their lives are like with families. So, it was a unique path for me coming out of baseball, football, girls basketball. Then I became the head boys basketball coach.
Boy, you switched there. You switched there. When you coach a bunch of girls and then you start coaching a bunch of boys, that's two different things.
Hey, and I'm going to tell you, coaching that girls basketball team in Fultondale, because I still have some lifelong friends of the dads of the girls that I still talk to a good bit, and those girls basketball teams were some of the best times of coaching. Was those girls, and it taught me a lot about how you coach different kids, and especially females. And I've come out of college baseball with one of the all-time winningest coaches in Alabama, Bob Reisner at Montevallo, and he was just hardcore. And then I go coach the girls, and they're all crying the first day. And I'm like, well, what am I doing wrong? Well, you learn real quick that you got to coach everybody a little different.
Yeah, that's what.
So my path is so unique. It's so much different than anybody else's. And really, I was just fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time. And had a great boss and friend at Fultondale, and ended up giving me a shot. And in our 5 years there, I think we went 41 and 16. Just had a great run there, and just very fortunate.
How close did you get to the state championship at Fultondale in football?
Well, as in 2011 and 12, as I was offensive coordinator, we made it to the third round, and then we made the second round a couple times as the head coach there, and had really good teams. And the thing about playoffs, it's all about staying injury free and a good matchup and that kind of stuff. So we made the second round a couple times, but last year there we went 11-1. We started 11-0, which was the first time in school history to do that. So we just had a really good run there. The last 7 or 8 years I was there.
Did you ever think about buying an apartment or anything up there, and just just so you could have a place local there? I mean, did it ever dawn on you after 18 years?
Well, our first house was on kind of right by the interstate on Highway 59, so it really only took me about 30 minutes to get there. And then we relocated more towards the Helena,
Yeah.
the backside of Hoover, Helena area, which then it took about 40. No, I really didn't. You know, lots of times as a coach, coming home at night, it would kind of give me a chance to decompress and kind of calm down a little bit. You know how that was. But,
Yeah.
No, our family, my parents, my wife's parents all lived on that side of town, and it was more important for them to be over there than it was, you know, for me to, you know, a burden to drive back and forth.
So then you
Spent a lot of years on the road.
So right. So then from Fultondale, you went to Helena.
Yeah, so in 2017, like I said, we started out 11-0 and ended up finishing 11-1. And, you know, the school had been open, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years, and I'd always kept my eye on that job. I thought this could be a good job. It's right here in my back door. The campus is beautiful, and we hope y'all get to come up in the fall and see it. And, you know, it's just one of those deals where you're never really looking to move on because you want to be where your feet are. But I'd been over there so long, I was like, if this job ever comes open, you know, I'm going to be interested. And I had a couple mutual friends that were friends with the mayor and different things. So it's kind of like, you know, if I can get my foot in the door, I may have a shot. And, you know, we met 5 or 6 times going back and forth whether I was going to come there or stay because I had a really good team coming back at Fultondale. But, you know, it worked out, and I was blessed to get the job, and it's been a lot of fun.
So when you were going for that job, did you work yourself into where you were one of the candidates, or was it yours if you wanted it, or where were you in that situation?
Well, you know, you don't ever really know when you're applying for a job, but I felt like with, you know, look, lots of times in high school football and jobs, lots of times it's about who you know and maybe not what you know. And you've always got to have some kind of, at a job like that, you've got to have some kind of mutual friend or friend that knows the decision maker and can get you in the door. And then it's your job to kind of get the job done with the interview. So it was just the principal, our principal's name, April Brand, and she has been so good to me, and every promise that she made 3.5 years ago to help turn the program around, she has fulfilled those and then some. And then our mayor, Mark Hall, that was there at the time, his term ended, and we have a new mayor. But as far as mayors go, I don't know that there's a better one in this country than Mark Hall, and he put a lot of things in place along with Miss Brand and our administration and the people from the Board of Education to help us turn the program around, because without the administration, your you know, dreams of what the program may look like, it can't happen without them. So, you know, it's a group effort of everybody to help turn something around.
So you kind of, and I don't want to say this, but you and the principal and the mayor and some of these people, before you came, you're telling me you kind of threw it on the table as a what if, but I need some support, and they were buying in and you were buying in. So it was all kind of a mutual agreement about you becoming the head coach of Helena, but it wasn't just about becoming the head coach of Helena. It was about changing the way Helena was in order to, like you said, build a program.
Well, you know, I think one thing that they liked about me is coming from a small school with my background in high school as an athletic director, you know, being a high school football player, a basketball player, baseball, golf, I have a love for all the sports. And when you're coaching at a small school like Fultondale, you need to share athletes. You need to make sure your better players are playing all sports. And Helene is no different. You know, I think my vision going in there was that, you know, we need to make sure our better players are playing, and I care about everything. You know, I was a high school baseball player, college baseball. I care about that. I care about basketball. I'm not just wanting to make football better. I want to make the whole thing better where we can work together. And I think over the last 3.5 years, we've been able to do that. So,
Coach Richie,
but,
Richie, you're telling me that if you know somebody that can win the high jump in the state, they need to be in track and field Monday morning. you're going to encourage them to jump.
I mean,
you know,
yeah, because I want to encourage my kids, that football players, to play other sports, especially to run track and to wrestle and those type things and play band. But I also want the coaches that work on my campus to also push their players to play other sports, because, you know, they only go through this one time, and I think it's important for kids to have a different set of friends, a different set of adversity, those type things. You know, this single sports specific stuff that's going on. I just don't think it's healthy for the kids. Sometimes you need to get away from that sport, and we've been able to get some of our baseball players to play football. And when it's over, they say, "Coach, I'm so glad I played football, but I'm so ready to go back to baseball because I miss it a little bit." And that's a good thing because they hadn't been playing year round.
Yeah.
So, and that goes for any sport. I encourage our kids. We have a lot of kids that run track and they wrestle. And, you know, you're better athletes on your campus, no matter if you're in Tennessee or Alabama. The better guys need to be out there.
Absolutely. So teach me and teach the people of Tennessee. Walk us through. You do things a little bit different in Helena. So tell me about if I'm a football player, what time I got to be at practice?
Well, this is, you know, it kind of evolved when I first got there. So the school started out as a 5A high school with probably, you know, that 800-900 kids, 10 through 12, because the state of Alabama, they count our kids that way. So the school is growing so fast, it's outgrowing our facilities. So when I first got there the first year, there was too many kids trying to practice in the afternoon. So what we have done, which is different than some places, you know, we start practice at 6:10 every morning. Kids are there at 6. Parents drop them off. If you know anything about Helena, which probably your listeners don't, it's a hard probably hour and 15 minutes to Birmingham every day because of traffic. It's really probably about 40 miles, but because of traffic, you got to get out of there. So our parents love it. They drop the kids off at 6. So we start practice at 6:10. We're done about 8:10. They shower, they eat breakfast, and they start school at 9. So there's a lot of benefits to it. It teaches them to get up, go to work like they're going to have to do when they become an adult and they've got to, you know, take care of a family. But you know, it's been good to us. I don't know that it's for everybody. You know, we have kids that have cars and they have means to drive themselves, but on the back end of the day, the kids that don't, they can get on the buses and go home. And there's just so many benefits to it that far outweigh the few negatives that we thought were going to happen when we started it. We just hadn't had that many. And our kids now, I think they would revolt if we went back to afternoon practices.
So when Monday, or is it full pads? Are we going full blast in the morning? And you know, how does that, or Tuesday, or take me through a Monday through Friday?
Okay, right. So Monday, when we get into season on Monday, we will either usually what we go out is in helmets and shoulder pads, and we will do our installs and that kind of stuff and some individual stuff. And then we usually try to also get a workout in that morning before we feed them and go to school. Tuesday and usually on Monday, we bring them back in the afternoon for 45 minutes to watch film or walk through or maybe whatever we need to do. And then Tuesday's a long day for us, just like it is for anybody else, whether you're in the morning or afternoon. It's a full padded practice. We're bringing them back after school to either lift, and usually we'll lift the offense, the defense will watch film, and then we'll flip it. Or, you know, if there's something that we couldn't go over, or it was raining that morning. That's
right.
the thing about you don't get a lot of thunder showers in the morning like you do in the afternoon in the South. So we miss a lot of that. And then Wednesday is a full padded practice for us. And when I was at Fultondale, it was a shells practice, helmet and shoulder pads. But, you know, our defensive coordinator, Jim Elgin, is an old school guy, played football at Rhodes College up in, I think, Memphis.
Yep,
I guess that's
exactly.
where that's at.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, he's like, we got to be in full pads. We got to be tough. And that's one thing. And I have to say that when he came in with me, he was at Pleasant Grove High School, which is also kind of in the Birmingham metropolitan area. And, you know, he's been an integral part just because I needed somebody that was old school and tough because that's what the kids in Helena needed. So Wednesday's full pad for us too. Now we don't bring them back on Wednesday in the afternoon, just unless it's something that we got rained out or something. But Wednesday they don't come back, and then Thursday morning we're at 7:15. We do a 45-minute walkthrough, and then they go to class. They go home. So, you know, really they're home in the afternoons on Wednesday and Thursday. They can go get a haircut. They can go get tutoring, whatever they need to do. Go see their girlfriend and go play video games.
What about
so
what about JV and freshmen? When is that through the regular season, Coach? What nights?
Okay, so we play on Monday nights.
Okay.
So the kids that play JV and freshmen, well, they practice at 6:10 in the morning, And if they're made to come back and watch film, we just keep them and play the game. I mean, they're double duty on those days. So what we've done there, when I got there, they had a ninth grade JV and a high school team. Well, the JV team wasn't very competitive, and they were just kind of throwing kids out there to say they played JV. So what we've done is we have a ninth, 10th grade team, and then we have a high school team.
Okay, so
just mainly because we want to put a good product on the field, and when you don't have enough kids to split 3 teams, then why do it?
So that's a different concept, just a freshman and sophomore team. And then if a sophomore's good enough, now he's going to be playing varsity. He wouldn't be playing JV, or whatever.
Exactly.
But
or a freshman.
Or freshman, whatever you want to call it. So you just have one.
Right.
You just have one team, and so when you go over to Calera or something like that, are you playing a JV, or how does that work on the other end? I guess is what I'm trying to figure out. Legit.
Well, you have to get with the schools you're going to play and say, look, we're playing 9th, 10th graders, and it's a few 10th graders. You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
Not like it's a full-fledged every 10th graders out there. You've got some 10th graders that are contributing on varsity that we're not going to play, and then you've got some guys that need some game reps.
Yep.
And some guys may vary. One week you may play in the 9th, 10th grade game if you're a 10th grader, and one week you may not. It just depends on with injuries and depth and things that are going on. But it gives us – because all of us practice together in the morning, 9 through 12, so 120 kids are practicing. And we just feel like we're putting a better product on the field by doing that, because we're a county school, so we're not blessed to have 30 coaches like a city school like
right.
Hoover or Thompson. And so we have to manage what we have with fewer people, and it's almost impossible to have 3 teams. And in our school, me and Miss Brand are always talking about, if we can't put a quality product on the field, we don't need to do it.
That's a great philosophy. I'm all for it. So one other thing, talk to me a little bit about, you have a program called Football Moms, and I'm just going to let you take this away because I've never heard of anything like this, because we got a lot to learn. So this is going to be great video. So take it away about what is a football mom.
Well, I'd heard, it's not necessarily my idea, but I'd heard different coaches across our state and certain communities that had the sport. They're always like, and you hear this in college football, they have the Moms 101 and that kind of stuff, and they bring the ladies in the community, they put them through all, the practice and the pads. Well, I thought I always wanted to do that at my other schools, but didn't necessarily think I had enough to get it done. Well, I came to Helena, I was like, well, we're going to start a Moms Club. And I can remember the first day they had a meeting, it might have been a Sunday, I think there was probably 80 moms in there, and the room was full. And it started out a way, because the first year only our freshmen practiced in the morning, so we were trying to find a way to get nutrition in the building for the kids. And I said, well, that's the first thing we need to do, is find a way to raise money and come up with some nutrition for the kids. Well, we did, and that evolved into so much more that our Moms Club now, I mean, like I told you last night, we may put out a message that, hey, we need Gatorade. Well, by the next morning at 11 o'clock in the morning, we may have 400 or 500 Gatorades sitting in the hallway of the field house, or we may have 400 or 500 protein bars or crackers or all kind of snacks. And they have a closet, and they have 2 huge coolers that are full of everything you can imagine, Gatorade, waters, drinks, and then the closet's full of snacks, and they put them in milk crates, and they label the day that we're supposed to pull them out. So all we got to do is go in there and pull the thing out, put it on the table. And then at halftimes of games, they have fruit out on tables, and the kids come in the locker room. There's fruit, there's bars, anything that they may want. It's not just one thing, so they choose whatever they want. There's Gatorade water out, and then after the game, there's always a couple hundred sandwiches made for them. So when they leave the field house at night, they're getting an extra meal in. More calories. And then we go on the road, they do the same thing. So they'll bring us the sandwiches during the day. We pack them on the buses. So after the game, they have, a turkey sandwich, chips, a Gatorade. And it's just a way to get more calories in them, because, you do have some kids in your program that may not be able to go home and make a turkey sandwich. And so we encourage them to take as many as they want. And these ladies have been so good. We have so many sandwiches left over on Friday that the kids are still getting them on Monday morning, because we put them in the cooler. So, and they organized senior night. Just, it turned into something that we never thought it would. we were just trying to find a way to get people to donate, protein bars, and it's turned into just basically a full-fledged nutrition program.
Wow, wow. And you're 6A, so take us a little bit through your conference. And I mentioned one of them, like I mentioned Pelham and Calera, but am I looking at, on the other side, am I looking at programs of 85 to 90 young men dressed?
Yeah, they're all about the same. So in Alabama, we have regions, and usually in a perfect world, they're 8-team regions. We're in a 7-team region, so that puts us out finding 4 non-region games to play. But, our region is, which usually Chelsea's usually in it, which is a big rivalry. This time they went north and we went south. So we have Pelham, Stanhope, Wetumpka, Calera, Chilton County, and Ben Russell.
Okay.
So, not too spread out, but, Pelham is, if you know anything, they're like 4 miles up the road from us, across the Colorado River, and they're right there. And Helena split off of Pelham.
Okay.
So there's a lot of, and now there's not so much. When it first started, you had kids that actually went to Pelham Middle that were playing at Helena High School. So the rivalry is very fierce, and it's so close in proximity that just a great rivalry. And Calera is pretty close, and it's a good rivalry too. So got a couple of rival games within our region, and then you get down into Chilton County, which is down near Montgomery, Alabama, and Ben Russell in Alex City. So, it's a competitive region, and Stanhope and Wetumpka always have great athletes.
So, and I'm sure you've played Prattville before several times in your career.
I have not played Prattville.
Really?
Stanhope and Wetumpka, I have not played Prattville because they've all, been 7A, and I've coached in 3A and 6A, and, we wouldn't intentionally try to go schedule them.
Right, okay.
And they're not in our region, and hopefully we're, we don't go 7A for a while.
Right. Sure, you don't want to go unless you're ready, and you definitely want. I don't want to push anybody towards that. I did not know Prattville was 7A. I did not. I thought it was 6A. Right. I did not know.
So. Well, it was until they expanded to 7A in Alabama, and we have 32 teams in 7A, and they're one of the bigger high schools in our state.
So so the biggest rivalry the whole year is the Pelham Helena game?
100%, yes.
And that traditional game on that Friday night, regardless of which home it's at, what type of, are we looking at 4, 5? What are we looking at in the stands as far as, and I'm sure along the sidelines and everywhere else? How many people?
Probably 7,000. So when I got there in 2000, and see our mayor at the time, Mark Hall, that I was talking about, was the police chief in Pelham before he became the police chief in Helena and the mayor. So you can imagine his interest in that game. And I can remember the first year we were there. Now we weren't very good. I think we started out 0-4. We ended up 4-6, and really playing good in the second half of the year. But I can remember him coming in the office. He would always come by, a couple times a week and visit with me, and he was just the most visible mayor and cared about everything and the kids. But he would come by a couple times a week and visit. But on the Pelham week, he came by every day of the week. And I remember him asking me in 2018, he said, "Coach, can we get him?" I said, "Coach," I said, "Mayor, I don't think we're ready yet." But then when he came back around in 2019, he said, "Can we get him?" I said, "Yes, we're better." Now, I don't know what that means because they had never beaten them. They'd lost 5 or straight 6 years, and that monkey on your back just keeps.
Oh yeah, it keeps
growing.
building. Oh, I know it.
I said, Mayor Hall, I said, we're better. We got better players, and I don't know what that means because the year before our kids were so ramped up about playing Pelham they forgot how to play football. And they run a shotgun, veer, options type stuff, and if you're not disciplined and playing under control, they will hurt you.
Right.
But then we beat them in 2019. I think it was 62-20, and kids played unbelievable. We were just physical, and I think last year, they were really good last year, and COVID got that game, which was a heartbreaker. First of all, financially, it was at our place, and it probably cost us, close to $20,000 even in COVID. But it is what it is, and we were just lucky enough to to have a full season with missing a few games, I'm just glad our kids got to play football, period.
What, if anything, you did learn from COVID? What do you feel like as a coach you learned anything about just kids and patience, better patience, or what's probably the biggest thing?
Yeah, I guess, and the word normal doesn't exist. You know, you just kind of do the best you can do. When it hit us, we had gone to Wetumpka, which was Elmore County, and we found out when we got back that that county was considered a hot spot. So we get back on a Monday, and we have 10 positives.
Mm.
And we make it through the week, and we have to go to Ben Russell and play. And pretty much every DB in our program was out. So we had receivers we're trying to train as DBs on Wednesday. And we go down there and win the game.
Oh, God.
But during that night, we had a lightning storm, and we were sitting they put us in the locker room. We have 97 kids that dress, and the locker room might have held 45 comfortably. So we have to sit in there for an hour and a half, and the officials won't let you outside when in the lightning.
Right.
So we get back, which is Pelham week, and we find out we have about 11 more positives.
Mm.
So now we're looking at 21, 22 kids that are positive that are out, you know, for 14 or 10 to 14 days, and then we start contact tracing on buses and locker rooms, and we end up with 44 kids out on a Tuesday of the Pelham week, and every running back in our program was either positive or under quarantine. And it was heartbreaking to call across the town and tell them we can't play because, you know, they're thinking, hey, they're ducking us. We're really good, and they're just kind of getting going. And I told my principal that morning we had to make the call. I said, I'd rather Pelham beat us 100-0 than have to make this call. And I'm sure they would feel the same way if they were on the other end. But you just can't, you know, you can't put the kids in danger when all your tailbacks and 3 or 4 of your offensive linemen are out and your whole secondary. We just didn't have enough to put a competitive team on the field. Well, on the backside of that, we lost the next week. So they shut us down for 14 days. So we lost McAdory, which is probably 10 miles from our school, which is another huge gate. And then the next week, the team we were supposed to play for homecoming, they had it. So we went a month in the season, 3-4 weeks in the season without playing a game.
Because you got it, and then another team got it, and you couldn't catch up. So
Right.
you was there for 32 days. 32 days. You just did absolutely. Basically, you didn't play any football.
Well, we missed 3 straight weeks of games. For 14 days, we couldn't practice or do anything. And then that third week, when Chilton County called and canceled, we missed that week. So you're talking about kids missing 2 weeks of practice, and then you bring them back and they got to practice 2 more weeks to play a game. Now, you're talking about trying to keep kids focused and motivated, not to mention you're practicing at 6:10 in the morning. But our kids did a great job. I mean, we came back and finished the season off. I mean, we beat UMS Wright, which I told you last night had won 4 straight state titles. And then we beat Carver Montgomery in the playoffs, which we were down 19-0 at half and came back and won that game 22-19 in the first round of the playoffs. And then we ran into Spanish Fort, who ended up being the eventual. They were runner-up. They played for the state championship and usually do every year. They're usually there.
Tell us a little bit.
Which is in Mobile.
Right. Tell us a little bit about that, because you did mention that on the 5th and the 10th game, you're not allowed to play a conference team. Is that correct?
Yeah, in Alabama. Well, if you're in an 8-team region in Alabama, so you have 7 region games, usually your non-region games are going to be week 1, 5, and 10. So those are the games you got to find. Now, like in our case, we were in a 7-team region. So this year, our non-region games, we needed to find a 0, a 1, no, a 0, a 2, a 5, and a 10 because of the schedule we drew out of a hat.
Okay.
So,
but everybody,
you know,
everybody knows what your non-conference week is. It's not like a guessing game.
It's not a guessing game because the way we do in Alabama, so when our regions are decided by the state of Alabama, we meet as a region, and then we pull a number out of a hat which tells you especially if you're in a 7-team region, it tells you your other off week. Now you know 1, 5, and 10 are going to be off, so you may draw a 2 like we did. All right, well, week 2 is our other non-region game, and you know some school may draw week 8, so they got to find another one there. So this year we had, you know, we played 0, which was a non-region game, and 5 and 10, and 1. So we played McAdory week 5 and UMS Wright week 10. And really the reason we scheduled UMS Wright week 10 was so at some point we could go to Mobile, spend the night in a hotel, play a game, and come home. Because if you're in the south part of the bracket in the state of Alabama in 6A, you're going to have to be able to get on a bus and go to Mobile and win a football game if you're ever going to win a state championship. So it was kind of like, well, let's go down there and play one of the best teams in the state in 4 and 5A and teach our kids, what it's like, and then maybe one day it'll benefit us.
That's great. That's great. Coach Busby, we are going to have such a wonderful time. You bring so much to the show. Anything else you'd like to share with us, about Helena football or mention any of your staff or anything? You've mentioned so many great, wonderful people, the mayor, your principal, and everything, and about all your support. Is there anything we left out, or maybe your wife or family or anybody, a dog, anybody we left out?
Well, for any family of a high school football coach, it's, dad's gone a lot, especially during football season. So it's special to have a great family and your coaching staff too. At our level, like I told you last night, a lot of the times, the majority of my day is spent trying to figure out how to raise money and make sure our program is financially in the black and that kind of stuff. And especially as AD, you're trying to keep everybody there. So I'm blessed. Both of my coordinators, Jim Elgin, the defensive coordinator, was a head coach for 13 years, coached in college. And then my offensive coordinator was a head coach at Springville High School for about the same number of years. So I have 2 coordinators that have been very successful head coaches, won over 100 games each of them as a head coach. And then I have, the staff under them is very experienced. My strength coach does a great job. And we have 3 or 4 of our position coaches on our staff could be head strength coaches at other places, and we're blessed enough to have them all on one staff. So, in the mornings this time of year, they run the weight room. I kind of go in out just to check on them and show my face. But, without a staff at this level, you can't win and you can't be successful. And when I'm doing other things, they're taking care of the football part in the off season. So, like any coach will tell you, it's all about the players and the coaches that are with you.
Coach, we are looking forward to riding the season with you, and we'll talk to you in about 30 days.
I look forward to seeing you in the fall. Y'all are always welcome. Thank you for having me.
All righty, we'll talk to you in 30 days, Coach Busby.